charitable organizations. And I'm a huge fan of Dr. Wang.
Thank you. Dr. Chen, can you
okay, I unmute another people. Sure.
Yeah, you
host
and also
stable
the chat room, please.
Yeah. Okay, there. 1 second. I release okay, everyone. Good. Now you can send something to the chat room.
Okay.
Yeah, you can host
so continue. I see Paul there, Max Lee, and others. James.
Let me unmute another people.
So very quick, everybody say just one line about yourself, your name, what you do, where you are.
Am I the next?
Yeah, just go ahead.
Okay. I'm James Chow. I'm a big fan of Dr. Wang and like his movie Sight. And actually, I'm trying to follow his legacy and try to do my own movie. It's called Tenor by Night and American Man by Day. I live in Los Angeles.
Okay.
I came from Guangzhou originally.
Thank you. And next.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Alan. We met Dr. Wang in Dallas. So my kids are huge fan of Dr. Wang, and they want to be an eye doctor too. Wow. So we do family business. It's farm to table food, Wagyu beef. So we just try to learn more as much as we can from Dr. Wang. Excited. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Chen, I could not post. I'm trying to post on the chat room, but it's a dark color instead of white color, Dr. Chen. Is there something setting?
Oh, no, let me.
Right now, the chat room is dark. It's a black color. Typically, it's white color.
Let me try do that once.
And the Max.
Why you need
Max Lee, maybe can help Dr. Chen. Max is our technical expert. The chat room is all black color for some reason. Typically, it's white color.
Oh, it is.
And when I'm able to send, but it's black anyway. It's okay. It's okay. I just put on something in the chat room. So continue, Max. You next.
Okay. My name's Max Lee. I'm the founder for Grassroots Tech. We are the company to do the AI-powered website. We're based in Boston, Massachusetts.
Thank you. Brett, unmute yourself very quick. Your name, what you do, where are you?
Hi, I'm Brett Sarin. I am in Greater Middle Tennessee, the Nashville area. That's Nashville behind me. I help people with their second most fundamental need in their life, which is their shelter. I help people buy and sell their homes or real estate as an investment. So I got to meet Dr. Wang yesterday at the Tennessee Christian Chamber of Commerce. So he invited me to this graciously. So thank you, sir.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you for coming. Paul Graydon, Dr. Paul Graydon.
Hi, Dr. Wang. I'm Paul Graydon, and I am an online publisher and currently running for county commissioner in Sumner County.
Yes. I just sent a donation to Paul today, and best wishes to Paul.
Thank you, sir. That came through. Thank you so much.
Yeah. You're sure you want to do the punishment?
Now.
And Stella? You need to unmute yourself, Stella.
Yeah, Stella, unmute yourself. Let me ask to unmute. Yeah, unmute yourself. Stella, please unmute.
Stella, you need to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
We cannot hear you. Stella, we cannot hear you. Okay, now.
It's okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm a dietitian, a nutrition consultant for the Canadian Medical Association. And I've been doing a lot of work focused on the health for the physicians, the specialists, because I find they're working too hard and they're not looking after their lifestyle or the eating not so well. So and also I'm really interested in like for nutrition, let's say mulberry, things like that, natural herbs or fruit that can good for the eyesight. Yeah, that's something I like to send to everybody someday, because I have a little bit organic farm I myself, and I like to I grow mulberry, like blueberry, things like that. So very organic. So it's very good for the eye health, because since 21 years old when I'm at university, I'm inspired to do something for eye health and nutrition. And I'm really fascinated by Dr. Wang's work in restoring eyesight for people. So I'm really, really inspired. So this year I'm going to go forward doing this, like my main objective and focus.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Stella. Thank you. And we see Corey, if you're here. Corey and Brian.
Yes, I'm here.
Introduce yourself, where you are, what you do. Just everyone got about 10, 15 seconds.
Yeah. Hi, Dr. Wang. Great to meet you. And I've used your work in creation science and sharing that. I've been a professor and teacher and Bible teacher and different things in Asia for about 25 years. And now I'm in Chattanooga area. And I'm working in research in cancer and also in creation science areas. So glad to be here.
Thank you. Laura, L-O-R-A, Laura. And Yin Yong Chen. And I see Gu Jian Liu. Oh, yes. Yin Yong, just say where you are, what you do.
Okay. This is Dr. Yong Chen. Nice to meet you all. I'm also a doctor in Shanghai, China. I'm working in clinic.
So he's Thursday morning in Shanghai.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's working time.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for Dr. Chen. And Gu Gan Liu. Gu Gan Liu.
Hi, this is Guo Geng Liu. I'm the financial advisor. I live in Houston.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming. Laura and Dr. He Hua Ye. And also Tina Dexter.
Yes.
Hey, Dr. Yeah, go ahead, He Hua.
Hey, sorry. Thank you, Dr. Ming. And glad to meet you online. And I'm working right now too. I work at Shanghai. So it's our morning time.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for attending. And we talk about the letter and everything. Yes. Good. Tina and Yeling. Okay. I think we're going to start. Yeah, go ahead, Tina.
Hi, I'm Tina Dexter. We actually just met this past weekend. It's been an honor, and I'm honored to be here. I am a former early retired registered nurse, and I created multiple corporations in the power grid company in the United States with my ex-husband. And I now am, as you know, an oracle and a seer, guiding people in business and personal and spiritual life down their pathways to their highest purpose.
Perfect.
Hi, Dr. Wang. It's Corey. I'm currently out in Houston, Texas. I've had some technical difficulties trying to get my video, but maybe you hear me on audio. Thank you for the invite. Hope you have a wonderful night tonight and look forward to hearing from y'all.
Yeah, thank you, Corey. Corey's our volunteer in Texas right now. And thank you. And finally, I think I catch everyone, maybe Paul, whether he's got a chance to say anything, Yi Yong, Laura. And okay, so let's start. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, hi, I'm Laura. I met you on Sunday, and I'm very honored to be here. I'm a retired psychiatric crisis nurse of 47 years.
Thank you, Laura. And okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start. So here's my proposal. You know, in life, you realize that every moment it passes, it can never be replicated, right? With the sets of friends at a particular point in your life. So I like to take a picture. And Dr. Chen, can you take a picture? I'm going to hold on my cell phone. Everybody unmute your camera so you can appear your face on the camera. And just for a briefly moment, we take a picture. And I will send this picture to all of you. So serve as a little memory, because you will never recreate this moment with the same group of friends ever again. All right, so here we go. 3, 2, 1. And then another one. Everybody hold up the thumb. Hold up the thumb. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to share screen now. And Dr. Chen, let me see if I can share the screen.
Yeah, you can share.
Okay. While we're sharing, everybody see in the Dr. Chen, can you tell everybody what's in the chat room right now and suggest people to take an iPhone picture of my contact information in the chat room as such? Go ahead and tell them. So Dr. Chen, can everybody see the chat room? Then you see the basically my information, contact information. Dr. Chen, can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So let me just make sure that my screen share is up. Let's see, screen share. Okay, here we go. Okay, so Dr. Chen, do you see my contact information in English and in Chinese in the chat room right now?
Yes.
Okay, so
I will copy
everybody
again.
feel free to copy
Yeah.
what's in the chat room, which is my contact information. My suggestion, just go ahead and take a picture of it, English and Chinese. And so if you have any question, contact me later. You can use the contact information in the chat room. Okay, Shi Ban Gong Bei. Shi Ban Gong Bei is an ancient Chinese saying about accomplishing twice the work in half the time. So the key of this presentation is trying to combine the wisdom from the East and the West to try to accomplish things more successfully and efficiently. And you see in the middle, there's my contact information. You can take a picture. And the movie site, as some of you have seen, both we have a free link for the movie site in the United States and also in China. The next Shi Ban Gong Bei Zoom is once a month, third Wednesday of every month, April 15th. So if you want, you can take a picture of the screen. You can then send me an email if you want to have a Shi Ban Gong Bei little black booklet sent to you. The whole book you can finish reading in 10 minutes. So next one is April 15, always the third Wednesday of every month, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Regarding my intro, I'm going to skip. Basically, I work in the United States, in Nashville, Tennessee. I've been involved with the development of amniotic contact lens. And we have a side foundation that's helping blind orphan children from around the world. Now, we all have heard this. You should not just work hard, you also have to work smart. So what does that mean? What does it mean by working smarter? It's really very simple. Every human being is a balance between emotional and logical, irrational versus rational, inefficient versus efficient. Then you say, Dr. Wang, why are you in a position to try to address this balance or imbalance? Because I was born in the East and I live here in the West. So I have come to realize that the Eastern tradition tends to be more emotional overall. Eastern way approach, Qigong, Tai Chi. West is more about logical. And also not only my upbringing, East and West, that give me the opportunity to take the best out of each culture, combine them, but also my work, both as a physician, as a physicist. As a physician, I have to interact with people, so I have to deal with emotion. As a physicist, laser physicist, I have to deal with machines and numbers and very emotional. So now I would like to just take a few minutes to tell you very quickly how I have arrived at this point in the intersection between East and West, both culturally and also professionally, an intersection between a profession that deals with human being, which is a physician, and a profession that deals with machine, which is a laser physicist. They give me some insight about human imbalance or balance between emotional and logical, irrational versus rational, and inefficient versus efficient. So just a few minutes about where I came from, East and West. I grew up in China during Cultural Revolution, when for 10 years, the university was shut down for 10 years and all the kids were sent away to labor camp. 1974, I finished my junior high. I was not allowed to go to school. And I was going to be sent away to labor camp. In order to avoid that, I have to learn the Chinese violin, erhu, and learn how to dance to avoid labor camp. That didn't work. Then in 1976, Cultural Revolution ended. I got a chance to apply for college. In the film side, you see that my parents really helped me. I practically have jumped 3 years ahead overnight. Got into University of Science and Technology in China, studied laser physics, chemical physics. In 1982, came to America with only $50. I went to University of Maryland, finished my PhD in laser physics, my first doctorate degree. Then I wanted to go to medical school, but I was discriminated against by a professor who said, "You're Chinese, you're no good." Fortunately, I did not give up. I worked even harder. So after, as a physicist, postdoctoral degree at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, I went to Harvard MIT joint MD program. In 1991, I graduated, invited my parents over, and the film site is dedicated to my parents. The reason I got 2 doctorate degrees, one in medicine, one in laser physics, is because medicine is so technologically driven. So I've been very blessed to have training on both technology and medicine, both logical and emotional side. I have performed over 55,000 laser vision corrections, including on over 4,000 doctors. This is my Harvard MIT joint MD degree, and I even went to White House, met then President Ronald Reagan. In the movie side, you see that we brought a 5-year-old blind orphan child, Kajal, to America. Because cornea trauma-caused blindness is a leading cause of blindness worldwide and has no treatment. In the film science, you see that I would start doing research and realize that we can use fetus because the fetus does not scar. But how can you do research on fetus without hurting a fetal life? They say there's no common ground between faith and science. Is that really correct? I established a common ground network and tried to study how to find a common ground, and even wrote a common ground Bible study, being a Christian. And we realized that perhaps God really, I think, will give us the inspiration and realize that we can use the placenta and the membrane, which that membrane maybe is what gives the child the ability to heal without scar. So give us the possibility of doing research on fetal tissue to help patients restore eyesight, reduce their eye scar, but at the same time preserving the fetal life. So I started doing research on placenta and ultimately invent the amniotic membrane contact lens. When the amniotic membrane contact lens placed on injured eyes, we find as a magic thing happened, the eyes start healing as if it were not born yet, surrounded by amniotic membrane. And I then decided to donate the technology to the world and put a patent online and went around the world to 50-some countries, taught over 10,000 eye doctors how to use it free of charge. Today, as you see in the film site, amniotic membrane contact lens is a $5 billion a year industry worldwide. Millions of their eyes are helped. Some friends said I'm stupid because I did not make any money in the whole process. But I think I'm not stupid. I did what's the right thing to do as a human being, to share what I have. So Dry eyes, one of the problems as we get older. This patient, dry eyes, painful eyes. We put an amniotic membrane, and she's very happy. So amniotic membrane contact lens, the story in the film side shows that not only is a wonderful technology has helped transform the world, but also it shows that science and faith can indeed work together. I live in Nashville, Tennessee, Music City, USA. We have our USA Institute, and we have some of the best technologies because of my dual training. My research has helped me develop career. I published a paper in the world-renowned journal Nature. And I published 10 textbooks in ophthalmology, and 7 of them have been translated into Mandarin Chinese. I've served US FDA ophthalmic device panel, the first Chinese Americans to do so, and also we're training surgeons worldwide. We performed the world's first laser artificial cornea implantation, and we are treating all 5 human prescription conditions: myopia, hyperopia, astigmatism, presbyopia, cataract, and also we're using amniotic membrane contact lens to treat the dry eyes. Using these top 4 technologies, we don't have time to talk about technology. You can take a picture of it. And our next Zoom is March 24th, Tuesday, 6:45 Central Time. We're going to go through all these technology. My email and WeChat contact is on the bottom. Left upper corner, smile, is making LASIK surgery obsolete, replacing LASIK as a better technology. Lower left corner, implantable contact lens. We put the contact lens inside the eye. You never need to remove it. In the middle, over 45, we got technology called Forever Young Lens, can treat all 5 human eye conditions: nearsighted, farsighted, astigmatism, presbyopia, and cataract. One surgery take care of all 5 conditions, the Forever Young Lens. Finally, on the left, cataract surgery can be performed with laser or blade. But even though laser is available, even in the United States, very advanced, only 5% of cataract surgeries are performed with laser. 95% today are still by blade. Why? Because the technology is so fast-driven, it takes a while for all the doctors to learn, adapt the new technology. But instead of 5% at the Wang Vision Institute in Nashville, Tennessee, we use laser for 100%. We're leading the country in the percentage of high-tech laser application in ophthalmic surgeries. Number 1 in the country. We, as I said, performed the first SMILE procedure, which is making LASIK surgery obsolete. And we were the first to perform Forever Young Lens surgery for over 45 to improve both distance and near reading vision. And we performed the state's first laser cataract surgery. And I live in Nashville, Tennessee. I've star patient, Dolly Parton, and others. I return to China frequently. I performed China's first all-laser LASIK. And now in Nashville, Tennessee, we have patients from all over the United States and all over the world. And I built a foundation to help blind orphan children. This is Kajol, the real-life Kajol. And in Cultural Revolution, I learned how to dance to escape labor camp. Now I used it to help my medical charity, the Eyeball. And also in Cultural Revolution, I had to learn Erhu to escape labor camp. Now I use it to showcase East and West connection. I have built a Tennessee Immigrant Minority Business Group. Paul Graydon, by the way, on the Zoom tonight, he was on our board to unite African American, Asian Americans, and Latino Americans. And if you live in Tennessee, you're welcome to take a picture of this. Tomorrow, 5:30, we're having a Tennessee Immigrant Minority Business Group meeting featuring women entrepreneurs, Latino Americans, African Americans, Asian Americans, to help each other and help America. As a Christian, I often speak at the churches about faith and science. And as Chinese Americans, I feel we all need to stand up for our rights. This is a tremendous honor to be given the Nashvilling of the award by Kiwanis Club. And also, I teach locally in Christian University, Trevecca University. So this brief summary about my life is basically science, the tools, and faith is the principle. And I wrote my experience as an immigrant in the book, From Darkness to Sight. And I want to finish my little introduction with a little video. You can turn up the computer, the sound, so you can hear the trailer. Movie won the Best Picture in ICVM International Christian Film. It's the first Chinese American film in American mainstream media.
I'm going to help you see again. You said it was impossible. Ah, there he is, the good doctor.
You're going to be on the cover of the Tennessee Herald tomorrow morning. You may get a date out of this.
No, that picture.
Very funny.
Our pro bono office got a call from India. A little girl, 6 years old.
Apparently, street beggars make more money if they're legitimately blind. So the stepmother poured sulfuric acid in each of her eyes.
I'm going to help you see again, good job.
Is it true that multiple doctors declared your patient irreversibly blind?
Yes, I developed this new breakthrough technology. Here we go. Do you see the light?
No. I can't see anything.
I have this patient from India. She reminds me of some things in the past that I can't get over.
The present is made possible by the past.
A long time ago back in China, there was an uprising in my hometown. Many bad things happened.
So we came to America.
Yes.
It's hard getting into medical school, but you coming from China, don't waste your time.
You cannot change the past, Ming. I feel like I'm stuck.
Hello, doctor. This is Maria.
We want to give her a chance to see again.
I don't even know if I can perform surgery anymore. I left you.
Stop it.
You need to just let go. I just don't want Maria to end up like a job.
Can only do our best. I'm with you, Ming. We can do this.
I refuse to believe there is no purpose.
I will be praying for you.
Good job is teaching me that there's more to life than what you see. We have to keep going.
Thought you said it was impossible.
Can you see yourself, Maria?
I'm so pretty.
So the film is available. You can take a picture of the screen by sharing this free link. You're literally helping our foundation because more people watch this film via this free link. More people will know about our work in helping blind orphan children from around the world, and therefore more of these kids could be helped. So thank you for sharing this free link of movie site with folks and to help our foundation as such. Shi Ban Gong Bei, the next one is April 15th. Once again, take a picture. If you want to get a book, you can email me your mailing address, and I'll be happy to mail you a little booklet. You can finish reading the whole book, by the way, in 10 minutes. So again, we know that we're supposed to work hard, but also we're supposed to work smart. So what does that mean? Smart means simply a proper balance between emotional and logical, between irrational and rational, between inefficiency versus efficiency. Why am I uniquely positioned to address this issue? Because I'm someone who grew up in the East and live here in the West, and I'm someone who have two professions basically. One is humanistic as a physician, as a doctor, deal with irrationalities, emotional, and also I'm a laser physicist. And I have to deal with laser technology. Very logical. A question that people get from me when I talk about Shi Ban Gong Bei is, how much can I improve my efficiency by studying these 77 pearls? My answer will shock you, up to 1,000%. It's interesting that one of the questions I get from people throughout my lifetime is, most frequent question is, Ming, how many hours in a day do you have? Do you have like 48 hours or something? But my answer always surprised them. I always say that sometimes I feel like I have 72, 96 hours. They say, how come? That's because Jonathan Haidt, in his New York Times bestseller, The Righteous Mind, says that we are 90% irrational, emotional. But then I thought, well, if we are mostly irrational, emotional, then we're hopeless. But then, very interesting, Dan Ariely wrote another New York Times bestseller called Predictably Irrational, meaning we're irrational, all right, but we're predictably so. So, standing on the shoulder of these two human behavior study giants, I published my third book, a little booklet called Shi Ban Gong Bei, accomplishing double in half the time. Basic idea is very simple. Since we're irrational mostly, since we're predictably so, there's a pattern to it, then we can systematically study our irrationality, the unpredictability, and therefore apply the seldomly applied logic. So we can actually improve 90% of ourselves, which is irrational, emotional, convert into rational, logical. We can improve in efficiency. Interestingly, that I was actually communicating with my son today about this, and he replied, then we should be all like AI. And there's some truth to it. No matter how much you like it or how much you dislike about AI, you'll know one thing's true. AI is a lot more efficient than human being. So that's an example that while you reduce the percentage of emotionalness, you are actually increasing efficiency. So, Shi Ban Gong Bei simply that I spent decades of my life observing myself and my friends, and I identified 77 human nature-driven irrational tendencies. And because they are predictably irrational, so there's a pattern to it. So by identifying the pattern, we then can apply logic to overcome the irrationality to make yourself more efficient as such. So I'm going to go backwards because in the previous sessions I go forward. This time I'm going to go backwards. Last time we covered from 70 to 77, then went from 60 to 60 to 69. Now today we're going to go from 50 to 59. Pro 50. To be successful is to work selectively. People say that to be successful, one has to be talented and work hard. That's correct. But remember, it's not just about working smart. Harder, it's about working smart. So what does that mean? That means selectively. So while talent and work hard, these two factors are indeed two of the top 3 qualities needed to be successful, but neither is actually number 1. Is a talent important? Yes, but it's not number 1. It's top 3. Is hardworking important? Yes, but it's not number 1. It's number 2 and 3. But what's number 1? The most important thing to do if you want to be successful is to work intelligently by selecting only a few things. Focus on them, doing the best you can with these few things. The goal is not to continue adding to your to-do list, but rather to work on subtracting the various things on your plate until there's actually nothing left to be subtracted. Then you say, wait a minute, you mean we human nature naturally is to keep on adding things to our plate? Correct. Is that smart? No. Is that logical? No. But it's emotional. The reason we keep on adding things to our plate is human nature. Then you say, why we behave this so illogically and not smart? Because obviously you crowd yourself with things to do, you end up doing nothing well, right? Jack of all trades, expert at nothing. Let me pose a question to all of you. Why do you think we have this human tendency of adding things to our plate excessively? Why? I'll give you 10 seconds. Dun, 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 ding, da, da, dee, da, da, dun, 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 da, dun, dun, ding, dang, dun, boom, boom. Well, I'll give you my 2 cents. the reason that we human beings always add things to our plate, despite the fact that it's very logical, easy to understand logically that you're going to make yourself less efficient when you crowd your plate because you can do nothing really well. The reason we keep on adding is because our natural tendency in the natural environment where there's not enough resources. So you just have to keep on piling up the food. Because if you don't have enough food, you're going to die. So our survival instinct makes us keep on piling stuff. But in the modern society today, if you want to not only work hard, if you're smart, talented, but you have to work selectively, meaning you have to learn the skill of subtraction, not just addition. Your natural behavior is adding things to your plate, and what you have learned, which is not natural, is to subtract. Among the 10 things on your plate, ask yourself which 5 can I subtract. Then you're left with 5. Then rank the 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then discard number 5. Then discard number 4. Then discard number 3. Then discard number 2. Life is most efficient, smartest, when at any one moment you work on one thing and one thing only. Your one thing tomorrow may be different from one thing today, but it's one thing nonetheless. How many times we get into things, we keep on, trying to do lots of things. Donna, you organized a very successful Silver Tan Club event. It's like tons of things to do right that day. I saw you like a worker bee, running around, taking everything. But it's challenging, it's harder to say, okay, I got to do 10 things right now to keep meeting going. But what is the most important thing? And that's a skill that we always have to train. It's not natural. And if we learn that skill, we actually end up doing the whole thing better because we really focus our attention on the one thing. And I think you knew what the one thing this past Saturday because you're trying to make the experience of all attendees the best it can be. By focusing on that one thing, you end up to be the most successful event organizer that Saturday. So I think that's a very interesting example. 51. Maximal alignment, minimal work. In a business collaboration, maximal alignment of interests in the beginning produces minimal work later. The opposite is also true. Minimal alignment of interests among various parties early on often ends up necessitating a lot and often unproductive work later. And it's very fascinating. Theoretically, when we start working, we should ask ourselves and our friends, our colleagues, are we clear what we're supposed to do? What is the top priority? Because if you spend time to align the interests together, later on you have the least friction among members of the team. And it's very logical. But then you say, wait a minute, you mean we are emotional beings, 90%? We tend not to do that? Correct. It's interesting. Human nature is not paying attention on the interest alignment early on. Our natural instinct is jumping to doing it right away, and halfway through realize that he or she is not even the right partner to begin with, or we didn't even talk about what is our priority. I'm going to challenge you, all of you now, to answer this question. Why human beings are so non-productive? Why we not spend the necessary time early on to align the interest? It's obviously not logical. Why, as a habit, we jump in doing things right away, enthusiastically, but halfway through, either he or she is not the right partner, or we didn't prioritize things with an agreement together. Why we do that? And to answer to this question, I will not answer it. I will leave it to a question to you. Why we naturally behave that way. But whatever the answer is, we do naturally behave that way. So we have to shift. Anything we do, spend more time in the beginning, align the interest, making sure everybody on the same page, what's the priority, then begin work. If you don't spend enough time early on, you're going to spend lots of time later on to undo the non-productive work as such. 52. Clearly define the issue first. Clearly define the issue first, then you're actually already halfway there. It's very interesting. I realize a natural tendency in myself and in many of my friends and colleagues over decades that we don't clearly define the issue. When we start saying, discuss a problem, we just jump in, discuss whatever comes to my mind. I find that we could be arguing like really bad, everybody's arguing and couldn't resolve, and we found that we are not even talking about the same issue. Very often, we behave that way. If you watch today Republican and Democratic parties, the dispute, you will find that often they're talking about different things. And they end up arguing forever. In fact, it is actually the politician's skill to shift your issue. The political skill, part of necessary political skill is to redefine the issue. You ask politicians a question, they find it hard to answer. What they do is they subtly change the issue. You say, so-and-so, what do you think of this? The politician will say, well, before I address that question, let me address another question first. Well, that another question has nothing to do with the question that you just asked. So it's a defense mechanism of politician. But today here, we're not talking about politics. We're talking about life itself. We're talking about how do we make ourselves more efficient. So we have to learn the other way. We have to clearly define the issue and making sure that you sitting down with your friend, you're going to talk about the issue. And very often, people change the issue without realizing it. For example, somebody can say, is an airplane faster than car? Right? Is an airplane faster than a car? That's an issue. That's a topic. Johnny can say that. And Eric will say, yeah, what is a car? The airplanes were 300 miles an hour. Cars were 65 miles an hour. Hey, but wait a minute. Eric can say, Johnny, their new car just came out, can drive 75 miles an hour. Without realizing it, Eric have changed the issue. Because the issue is not exactly what's the mileage of the car or the airplane. The issue is, in general, airplanes faster than car. But without realizing, you find Eric intentionally, unintentionally, actually changed the issue. This is a habit. All of us, myself included. When we discuss, unless we pay extra attention to what we do, we end up intentionally, like a politician, unintentionally, in our normal work, we change the issue. Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you, why we naturally develop this habit? Why, as a human being, we are naturally slippery, like sliding on the piece of watermelon, wherever you slide and wherever you end up to be. Why we behave that way? That's obviously not efficient. Because if you're changing the issue in the midstream, you're just wasting your time arguing, right? So why we behave that way? Why we naturally let the issue definition slide? I'm going to challenge all of you again. I have my answer. I'm going to ask you to think of yours. We can discuss in the Q&A, but whatever the reason is, for our slippery nature as human beings, that when we are doing things, we're like standing on the piece of watermelon, just slide down the hallway and wherever it is. That's our natural tendency. We need to overcome that. We need to recognize it. Then we need to overcome that by being able to keep on focusing on the issue without letting it naturally slipping. You are going to be a lot more efficient. 53. Fiduciary responsibilities. The fiduciary responsibility of a leader is to listen to and carefully consider a team member's suggestion. And the fiduciary responsibility of a team member is to accept a leader's final decision and just do it. You know, I've been involved in various different businesses, and I found that one of the fundamental problems of business is the leaders and those who are being led do not know their mutual fiduciary responsibility to each other. Because if you are not clearly defined that, you end up be very not efficient. Either something gone wrong in the business, the leader is not stepping up to take the blame, the responsibility, or there's a problem in the system. The leader knows what needs to be done, but the member of the team does not know that it's his or her responsibility in the team member to implement the team's decision as such. So recognizing that, I have learned I need to be learning the logical way of doing it. I cannot let my natural responsibility of not knowing the fiduciary responsibility to affect my business structure. So I work very hard on this. Today's day, I'm still not perfect, but I'm a little bit better than yesterday. When I lead a part of the business, I make sure I listen. Today I was talking to Ella, our team member, and as she was explaining to a problem to me, I halfway stopped her. I said, no, I think we need to do that. She said, you are not listening. I said, oops, I just violated my fiduciary responsibility to Ella. I need to listen. I need to carefully consider her suggestion. On the other hand, a technician, let's say, Johnny in my team. I've been talking to Johnny, a technician. I said, Johnny, my responsibility to you, I'm your leader, I'm the team leader in the Vision Institute, is to listen to you and carefully consider your suggestion. In fact, I will make sure that I fulfill my fiduciary responsibility to you, me as the leader, you are the one who is being led, by listening, carefully considering your suggestion, but also making sure by asking your question. Johnny, can I repeat what you said to make sure I understand what you're talking about? If Johnny nods his head, then I've accomplished my goal. My fiduciary responsibility to Johnny. But then Johnny's fiduciary responsibility starts. As long as he's comfortable that Dr. Wang has heard him, duly considered his suggestion, and even making sure to confirm that I heard him right, then whatever I decide as the leader, Johnny has to follow. That is fiduciary responsibility as a member of the team to the leader. In our business structure, in our daily life, you will observe every day violation of this principle, the fiduciary responsibilities. Either the leader is not patient, listening, making the member of the team think that the leader does not respect me. I'm trying to make a suggestion. He didn't even let me finish. Or the leader didn't understand me correctly. Or when the decision already made by the leader, the person is being led saying, you know, I'm not going to take that decision. No, that's your responsibility, team member. Your fiduciary responsibility to the leader is after you make sure the leader have heard you and duly consider your suggestion, just do it. Ladies and gentlemen, in all businesses, if we start paying attention to this fiduciary responsibility of the leader and those who are being led, we're going to make our lives so much straightforward and efficient. It's unbelievable. 54. More important doing things is to learn how to behave while doing it. More important to learning how to do something is to learn how to behave when you do it. This is something that I found fascinating. When I was younger, when I was supposed to do something, I was so fixated on doing it, whether it's learning medicine, learning physics, learning ballroom dancing, learning music, whatever. I focus on what I'm doing. I'm focused on what I'm learning. But the older I get, I realize I'm completely focused on the wrong thing. More important than learning how to do something is to learn how to behave while we're doing it. For example, Max Lee is a computer expert here. Max, you get someone, Johnny come to you and say, hey, Max, I think we need to work with Eric. Max, you may say, I don't think so. Eric, he doesn't follow through what he does. You see, you and Johnny has never worked on this particular computer project with Eric before. But Max, you suggested Johnny don't work with Eric because you did not suggest what you're going to do together, but you're actually suggesting something about how Eric tends to behave whatever he's doing. He doesn't follow through. So ladies and gentlemen, we need to recognize the most important thing in life is not what you do or how you do it. It's not what you do, but how you do it is most important. Because you could do different things. You can do, you can be involved in this today. And, Dr. Chang is an ophthalmologist here, Dr. Ming Chan in Houston. Dr. Chang could be taking care of patients with this problem today and taking care of patients with another problem tomorrow. But if his patient is going to like Dr. Chang, it's not about the problem he's studying today or dealing with tomorrow important, but how he is solving problem is what his patients like about. At the end of the day, we judge, assess a human being. It's not about what they do, but how they do it. We grow as human beings. We do different things at different stages in our lives, but how we do it seldom change. You hear the expression, people say, Johnny's always like that. What is always like that mean? That's a how. That doesn't change, ladies and gentlemen. So we are so focused on what, we don't focus on how. So here's an interesting question, ladies and gentlemen. Why we behave that way? Why as a human being, we tend to focus on not important, the what? Why we don't focus on how? Because clearly, by focusing on how, you're going to be a lot more efficient. Because if Eric never follows through whatever he does, that's a problem with his how. You avoid working with Eric altogether, you are saving lots of headache. But on the other hand, if you don't focus on how, you focus on what? You say, well, you know what, Eric, last year we're doing that business, he's not good, but maybe he will be good doing this business. No, the way he does things, the how does not change. So it's not that, yes, last year we're doing that business, he's horrible, somehow doing this business, all of a sudden his how changes. No, we change what we do every year as human being. How we do it never change. So, ladies and gentlemen, what is it? Why we behave this so stupidly as human beings? Focus on what and don't focus on how. Why? Why is it? It's not rocket science to figure out that how is more important than what, right? But why we naturally focus on what? Why we naturally are such a irrational, emotional, I just like Eric, I feel like it. Why does our natural feeling, I feel like doing it, is often different from what I should be doing? Very interesting question, once again. And to keep you interested in this topic, Shi Ban Gong Bei, I will hold off answering that question. But whatever the answer is, we do tend to focus on the not important thing, what? So this pro tells us, change the focus. When you make an assessment of somebody, don't focus on what he or she is doing, but how he or she does things. 55, the last pro today. Today we cover 5 pros. So you have to stay with us throughout the whole year to finish all 77 pros as such. A dumb person eats something bitter. This is an ancient Chinese proverb. One is actually happier if one things turn out to be not good, but it was actually one's own initial decision to do it. Since there is now no one else to blame except oneself. This is just like a dumb person eats something bitter, but he or she cannot really talk, so he or she cannot really tell others. The opposite is also true. One tends to be more unhappy if the initial decision to do something was actually made by someone else. So now one does have others to blame when things does not turn well. So the point is, in life, each person needs to make his or her decision, take all the responsibility. Interestingly, if we do that, as a human being, we actually end up being happier. We all have the experience. When our parents said, man, don't date that young girl. She's not good for you. You know what? I'm just going to do it. If I listen to my parents, and if she does turn out to be good, I'm very unhappy. I'm going to just blame on my parents. Whatever. It's just if a decision is made by someone else, I'm an unhappy person. Because whenever it's not good, I have someone else to blame. But interestingly, if I make every decision myself in my life, then let's say 50% of the time things did not work well. I'm no better, no worse than you, right? I have my 50% share of failure. You have 50% things you do is not successful also. So we're the same, just different things. So, but if I make 100% the decision, 100% of my decision for whatever I do, I end up to be happier human being, then I allow some of the things, decision, what I do, the decision is made by others. Because when these percentage of things, when a decision made by others, what I do, that I end up to be unhappy person because I have someone else to blame. Interestingly, when we don't have someone else to blame, we're like a dumb person eating something bitter. We can't talk. We cannot tell people this is bitter. We paradoxically end up to be happier. Isn't that interesting? If you want to be happy, I do, you do, we all do, then don't let anybody else make your decision, because it's for sure, it's a certainty that you'll be more unhappy later. Okay, so we gone through 5 pearls, and there are 77 of them. And so in summary, we all know that we're supposed to work hard, but also we are supposed to work smarter. But what does a smarter mean? Nobody explained to me that what does smarter mean? Is it naturally smart? No, I'm not stupid, but I'm not the smartest. And also the natural smartness is limited by genetics. So this statement actually does not work. Don't just work hard, work smarter. But if I'm not a smart person, my IQ is medium high, then nothing I can do. The smartness of a human being is intrinsic, is genetic. Today I want to tell you the smarter in this expression is not actually about smarter. It simply means more logic. So this expression, not just work hard, but also work smarter. The smarter actually does not mean smart, means more logical. Because we live through our life as human beings, like Ray Dalio, the world's most successful bond trader, a billionaire, wrote in his seminal work, New York Times bestseller once again, called The Principles. He said that you may think you live through your life fighting between you and the rest of the world. No. We live through our lives by fighting within ourselves. Between my upper brain, the cerebral cortex, which is logical, what I should be doing, and my lower brain, midbrain, and low brain, which is emotional and irrational, what I feel like doing. So we go through life as human beings is basically fighting within ourselves. The upper brain fighting with low brain, what I feel like doing versus what I should be doing. And 90% of the time, as Jonathan Haidt said in his book, The Righteous Mind, 90% of the time we actually do what we feel like doing. Only 10% of the time we are logical. So if you convert that, as I said, the reason I am here to offer somewhat an interesting viewpoint, why am I qualified to discuss this rational versus irrational, is because I'm a somewhat interesting person, meaning I was born in the East, I live in the West. Eastern way of living is more emotional, Western way of living is more logical, and also I'm a physician and a physicist. Physician, I had to deal with human emotions, my patients, and physicist, laser physicist, I had to deal with objects, machines. So my profession and my culture has enabled me to develop this observation about life itself. I realized we're just a balance between emotional, logical, irrational, rational, inefficient, and efficient. How much we can improve by studying this balance, rational versus irrational, is up to 1000%, 10 times. That's why when my friends ask me how many hours in a day, mean you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. Now, how many hours in a day you have? My answer always surprises them. I feel like sometimes I have 72, 96 hours. Not because I'm smarter. They're a lot more smarter person. Not because I work harder. There are a lot more people work harder than me. But because I recognize my intrinsic irrationalities and apply intentionally rationality. Johnson's high said 90% were emotional, so we had lots of room to improve. Then I really say we're predictably irrational. Great, there's a pattern of irrationality now. Now, here's the opportunity. Standing on the shoulder of these two human behavior study giants, I published my little book, Shi Ban Gong Bei. I systematically studied the irrationality since it's systematic error, it's predictable, then apply the logic. We can convert the 90% of ourselves, which is irrational, inefficient part, to be rational and efficient. Since if you convert 90% all to logical, you can improve your efficiency of doing things to up to 10 times or 1000%. Now, if you get this book, you listen to these 5 pros today, you might think, but I mean, there's nothing rocket science. The 5 things, 5 irrationalities you talk about, I know about them. I knew about them before I listened to you. But let me ask you, do you do it? You know about the irrationalities, okay? Do you intentionally correct them? Then you say, oh, I didn't do it though. That is in itself an irrationality. See, you know what the right thing to do, but you don't do it. We all like that, myself included. The fact that human beings, we know what's the right thing to do, we tend not to do it, in itself is an irrationality. So I propose that rather than fighting each other, human being, you know, John is not good, Nancy's bad, improving ourselves. We're going to be better, each of us, do things more efficiently, rationally, but also the world is to be a more peaceful place, a world peace, because everybody's trying to focus on improving themselves rather than blaming on others. The root cause of wars and bloodshed, human tragedy on this planet has to do with humans' innate irrational thinking that I'm better than others. The self-proclaimed superiority. The self-proclaimed superiority is what led to bloodshed in the wars, such as the current war, the Iran-Israel war and Russian-Ukraine war. It's all about one group of people think it's better than others. But if we turn our attention inward, each of us human beings, rather than blame others outside me, ask myself, my life, I live through my life, it's about improving myself, achieve better balance between my upper brain, the cerebral cortex, which is logical, irrational, to my lower brain, midbrain, which is irrational, emotional. By achieving a proper balance of that, you know, I may be a better person. If everyone, human being, turned attention inwardly, everyone no longer judge others, put down other people, everyone recognize our goal of life is to improve myself, achieve that proper balance of logic and illogical, the balance between rational and irrational, and if emotional with logical, because you cannot be 100% one way or the other, right? If you're 100% logical, you're AI. AI is not the way to live, right? It's more efficient, all right? So it's somewhere, it's not 9 to 1. It's somewhere, okay? It's not 0 to 100% either. So by focusing on what I'm proposing, which is focusing on each of ourselves inwardly, looking inward rather than looking outward, try not to blame on others, making judgment of others, try to focus on myself, improving my proper balance of rational, irrational, not only I will improve, I will be more efficient, but also the world will be a more peaceful place. I welcome everybody come back April 15th for next installment. And also before we finish, can everybody put in the chat room your name and email address? Everybody please put on the chat room your name and email address. And
Mine
Dr.
says
Chen?
the chat is disabled.
Chat room disabled. Okay, Dr. Chen, can you enable it? So Dr. Chen is going to enable the is it able now, Dr. Chen?
Oh yeah, 1 second. Let me
So Dr. Chen, there's some setting in previous Zooms. When we get a Zoom, I could not post, early on today, as you know. And also this is not first time that people complain they cannot post. So there may be a setting, maybe you just change the default. Always activate, keep the chat room activated. Never need to turn it off anyway. So
I can't get the email.
Yeah, I'm trying to say is maybe after today's Zoom, Dr. Chen, if you don't mind, that looking at the default setting, see whether all of our future Zooms just keep chat room always active. Everybody can send everybody else rather than inactivate as such. So always active, that way nobody will, because I just realized at the end of the Zoom today, now, that chat room is inactivated. That means throughout the Zoom, nobody can post anything in the chat room, right, Dr. Chen? So we let's try to improve that. So just leave it active every time. And I want to thank Dr. Ming Chen, Houston, Texas, who is also an eye doctor himself, for the time and effort in continuous volunteering his time to organize the Shi Ban Gong Bei Zoom. And how long we've been doing that, Dr. Chen? Almost 2 years?
Oh, 3 years, I think.
Wow, 3 years. We've been doing this 3 years. And Dr. Chen is always 100% donate his time. So really, thank you so much. So, Donna, I see you are there. Can you test the chat room, put your name and email address, and let us know if you're able to do that? You need to activate your sound, Donna.
I just entered my name and email address, and it looked like it posted.
Okay, good.
Time was 8:45 p.m.
Okay, perfect. So that's working now. Thank you so much. So anybody have any question about vision? Take a picture of the screen of the vision if you want to ask any question. And we're going to start the Q&A answer now. And also, thank you so much for helping the foundation by sharing this free movie site link with others, so more people know about foundation work in helping blind orphan children. Therefore, more of these kids could be helped as such. So Shi Ban Gong Bei, combining the wisdom of East and West so that we can accomplish things more efficiently and successfully. And I'm going to de-share and questions. And let me take a look. Can everybody go ahead and do what Donna did? In the chat room, go ahead and put your name and email address in the chat room. Name and email address in the chat room. So Donna can actually then, or Donna did already. So Dr. Chen can actually then keep you posted any change in the future, Shi Ban Gong Bei schedule as such. So post your name, email address in the chat room, and Dr. Chen can then send it to you any future updates. So any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and we can just discuss. Any question about any of the pros, any your life experience along these pros, and also any question about what I said today. Hey, Max is still on. Max attended most of the Shi Ban Gong Bei Zoom. I think he's a veteran. Max must be on the Shi Ban Gong Bei Zoom at least many times, as I recall. If Max, you can hear that, you're welcome to share your viewpoint. Paul Graydon, if you're still on, you are. Oh, I see Shu Guliang. Do you have Chinese talk somewhere? Chinese talk. Yeah, if you can get a group of Chinese friends, Shu Guliang, I'll be happy to deliver a Shi Ban Gong Bei talk in Chinese. Because all my slides are, both language, right? I have Chinese and bilingual. So I can deliver this entire talk in Chinese if you gather a group. So, Dr. Chen, can you take a look if Shu Guanglian has a chance to post her email address? Maybe Dr. Chen can follow up with Shu Guanglian, and if she wants to gather a group of Chinese, and I'll be happy to conduct one just in Chinese for her group as such. I see Corey posted. Thank you for positive link from East and West. Thank you. Corey is a Chinese American, second generation, born in America, but his parents are Chinese. So thank you for your comment, connecting East and West. Yes, indeed. That's my goal. And anybody else? Is it James Chow still on? James, you're welcome to share your perspective. And Roger, anyone else? Brett and Donna?
I have a comment.
Sure, Donna.
Okay. I went through the whole book and I bookmarked Pearl 67. So I think you had done that previously if we're going backwards.
Yes.
But I'm on multiple boards, and one of our boards has some big decisions to make coming forward. And I've tried to think logically, and look at all the options. But I read this, and this is going to help me to make like a grid sheet of all the possibilities for one of the challenges that we're going to be facing soon.
Yeah.
After talking to people and getting their perspective, I can have hopefully all the possibilities. And if somebody thinks of something I didn't, at least a lot of the choices are there. So I actually have my little bookmark here.
Oh, that's good. So one suggestion, Donna, if let's say you're the leader of that group, okay, is to set the ground rule saying, okay, Nancy, Eric, Johnny, are we agreement? I'm the leader. If they say yes, then you say, my responsibility, Donna, as your leader, is to listen every one of you carefully. And in fact, I'm going to do such a good job in listening to you, understand what you're saying. I'm going to repeat back to what you said and get your nod on that. That's my fiduciary responsibility to you.
Thank you.
But once you have the comfort that I, as the leader, have heard you and duly consider your request, can you also agree you're going to follow whatever I decide?
Yep.
That is fiduciary responsibility between leader and to be led is not equal. It's not equal. There's a difference why you're called the leader.
With the leader.
Yeah, because if you put yourself as the leader, just one of the members, you're never going to solve a problem. And that is what, this Pearl says. In a business setting, it's unequal situation. Everybody has their fiduciary responsibility, and the leader to the people who they're led, and the people who are led to the leader. It's different fiduciary responsibility as such.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Any other question about what we talked about? Any life experience you experienced? Any of those pearls you found is helpful?
Well, Dr. Wang.
Yes. Max, yes.
Yeah, I really like the pearl number 54. because you know how to behave. And because after several, especially when you're trying to find some like business partner or anything that's very important, you go through the history, the patterns with them. Then if you see that they don't do what they told you to do after a while, then you lose the trust. Then you're not going to deal with that person anymore because you know that you have this trust issue. Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna,
how to behave. Yeah.
I'm going to put number the 54 up so that we remind ourselves what Max is talking about, right? So let me see, where is the 54? Let's see.
How to behave.
How to behave, yeah. How is important, right? So 54, okay, so I'm gonna go back. So I got burned. I got burned so many times. Because human tendency is when we're going to do something, especially partnership in the business, we just want to jump in doing it. You know what's the most common question? Ladies and gentlemen, so that we don't fall asleep here, I'm going to challenge you. You can say whatever you want. What do you think is the most common question when we're looking for a business partner that we ask? You know what the most common question is? Okay, we're going to recruit Eric to do this, join us. Has ever Eric have done, tennis shoemaking before? Right? If we are in the business about making a sweater, we're going to try to think about recruit Nancy or not. We always ask this question, has Nancy done any business with sweater before? We just naturally ask what? We don't ask how. Yeah, it's important. Nancy needs to have some experience about sweater, but that's not the most important. The important question in business partnership is not what Nancy has done, not what she has done, but how she did it. And we don't ask that. I mean, think about any partner you ever had. It's always, is this person experienced in doing this? This pearl is saying that is not the most important. The most important is not whether the person has experience in doing this, but how he or she does things. Because what we do as human beings changes every year. How we do it don't change. If someone who does not follow through, you don't want to work with that person because life is too short. You cannot change yourself. I can hardly change myself. I have no chance of changing anyone else. So why should I bring this headache to myself? If someone does not follow through, I don't work with him or her. If someone is dishonest, I don't work with her. I don't want to change that person. I cannot. If it's someone who is a poor communicator, I don't want to work with that person because I cannot change him or her. So when we looking for a partner, we should not be focusing on what he or she has done this thing before or not, the what. We should focus on how. If he or she follow through, good communicator, understanding life is two ways, all these are how to do things. Okay? So this pearl, I got burned many times, I still get burned sometimes, because it's fascinating. Our human tendency is focusing on what, not the how. That's why we end up. And then you say, man, this is not rocket science. I knew about this. I knew. Before I even listened to you, I knew that we're supposed to focus on, how, not focus on what. Well, my answer is that even if you knew it, did you always do this, follow this? No. That in itself is an irrationality. We, human beings, 90% of the time, do not do what we should be doing. 90% of the time, we only do things we feel like doing. We let our emotional elephant drive our life 90% rather than letting the little elephant rider on top of the elephant, which is only 10% importance. You know, it's like our rational part, the logical part, is like White House press secretary. You know, the president is the big elephant, right? The White House press secretary. White House press secretary has no control of the president. President will do whatever he wants to do. But White House secretary always gives the press conference afterwards, trying to explain away why the president, who has so irrationally done something. So the elephant rider, our logical mind, which is the White House press secretary, doesn't have too much power at all. It just, wherever the elephant turn to the right, yeah, kind of just follow to the right. We can't, you know, it gives the appearance you're riding on the elephant, you're controlling elephant. No. We are largely emotional being. We just do whatever we feel like. And our logical mind is simply a essentially powerless White House press secretary, and only get on the podium after trying to rationalize something that president has so irrationally done a moment ago. Any other comments? Anybody?
Yeah, I had a couple of comments and a question also.
Yes, Brian.
Thank you for your presentation. And I'm learning. I also live in China a lot and Korea also a lot. And I learned from every country I've been in. And also I was a professor teaching life skills. And so I was teaching some things in the same area as you are, but some things different. So it was interesting. But I think your balance of emotional and logical is very important. We need to follow truth, but at the same time, we need to have love. They're both very important principles of God. And I found a Harvard study that said this interesting, that some of the emotions, not all, like the Bible says, God wants to give us desires of our heart, but the heart is deceitful above all things. So there's good and bad emotions. But one Harvard study said that some emotions have deep roots in our experience, especially women's emotions. And they're like a network and a whole network of like past experiences that help inform their current decisions. So sometimes they can be very valuable, the intuition, stuff like that. But that's interesting. You also mentioned clarifying issues is very important. And there's a Bible verse, Isaiah 5:20, that says, "Don't call a sweet bitter and bitter sweet." And that's the top form of propaganda, according to Rutgers. They say changing word definitions is a very big propaganda thing. So clarifying definitions is very important. But the question is about, you talked about fiduciary responsibility and about making your own decisions, which seem to be somewhat different, but they can be complementary, I think. In the Bible, you see God tells us to obey parents and respect leaders and elders, but then Jesus and prophets many times dissented from the government and from leaders also, and from religion. So the question is, how do you determine when it's right to follow leaders, or when is it best to dissent? Because there's both examples in the Bible. And so it's very relevant now. Right now, it's very relevant right now because this week I read that thousands of soldiers are deciding not to deploy to Iran, which is an order of their president. So that's an interesting thing. So what do you think about, what are some criteria or principles that help us decide when should we follow leaders without making our own decisions like that, and when should we make our own decisions and dissent sometimes because of truth principles or whatever you think like that?
Yeah, it's a fascinating question, Brian. My key message today is not go 100% either way.
Mm-hmm.
Right now it's 9-1, right? That's our natively. Elephant is 90% of the weight, and elephant rider is 10% of the body weight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the optimal is. Probably not 9-1, maybe 8-2, maybe 7-3 or something, or maybe 5-5, but certainly not 0-10.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, I agree with you that it's a balance. We need to achieve the balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also, I find this balance very interesting, depending on the issue. There are mathematical, more of a cut and dry issues such as mathematics, proving equation, differentiation, whatever, that laser physics, I better get exactly right. It's always like going 100% logical.
Right.
But there are things, I mean, best example is human relationship, right? As love and all that, perhaps more preponderance of emotion as such is more healthy. And the final question you asked, very interesting question. That is, it is true the dumb person eats something bitter, meaning if I make all the decisions in my life, I tend to be happier, right? But then, is it my happiness should be completely overriding concern and nothing else is important? That itself is an interesting question, right? I'm just saying that I'm happier, but if somebody is doing everything based on my own happiness, that's also off balance.
Yeah.
So that's a fascinating thing. I think in the leadership versus those people, it is important that the fiduciary responsibility, meaning, when I pray to God, I'm trying to make sure I express all my concerns. I don't want to hide any feeling. I'm not, if I want to earnestly listen to in my prayer and what God is telling me, that I need to not hide anything. What I think, then it's not. So my fiduciary responsibility is to express thoroughly, and the time. That's what prayer is, right? You have to time. You have to spend a lot of time praying. You have to really give God the opportunity to understand. Now, the other way, the fiduciary responsibility is once I have the comfort, I have the opportunity to express everything I want to say. Okay, there's no more left. All my concern is laid it out. Then it's important to recognize it's my responsibility to follow what God leads me. And the society and myself, a human being, often this relationship is, for example, a pop culture today, here in the West especially, think leaders and to be led are equal. They're not equal. The fiduciary responsibility is not the same. Meaning, Brian, if you are the company head, I'm a company employee, we are not equal. It's not like I have one vote, you have one vote. No. You have a lot more voting power than me. So it is important to recognize that in the relationship between the leader and those are led, you have responsibility to each other, but it's not the same type of responsibility. My responsibility to you is express whatever I feel earnestly, lay it out, and so you want to make sure that I felt I was listened. You have duly considered my request, and the best always repeat, right? Say, hey, Ming, are you sure? Let me just repeat it. Did I get it right? So once I said, I nod my head, yes, Brian, you're the company CEO, you got it right. Then my fiduciary responsibility starts. Whatever you decide, I'm for. It's not equal. I think in many ways, it's almost like men and women, right? In our society. Think they're identical. No. Men and women love each other, but it's not the same type of love. It's not the same type of reciprocal relationship. They're not the same. You know what I'm saying? Women are a lot more intuitive, perceptive. Men are more logical, cut and dry. Men are a lot stronger, physically. And to emphasize, to keep on making them the same, it's against nature. It's not what God wants us to do. So it's like very interesting. It has lots of applications, this fiduciary responsibility and all that. I think husband and wife has fiduciary responsibility on both ways, meaning not everything husband said is right, wife would follow. In certain things, wife should listen to husband, but certain other things, husband should listen to wife. There's but different things, So great question. But I find this fascinating to study these because my goal is to improve myself so that I can do more things more efficiently and do better job. For example, Donna, I want to tell you that I was at Silverton this Saturday, the event you organized, and I was applying my logical thinking. So we arrived, and just meeting into the break, and I was thinking, what can I do during this break? Then I realized, we're going to have lunch. And after lunch, people are going to go home because they've been there since, 8 o'clock in the morning. So I got my time to talk to people individually right now. So I decided, Donna, I don't know if you saw, I decided not to eat. I decided to go around table. I was going around table to talk to people because I want them to know a little bit about me, what I'm going to talk about, so they can enjoy more. So I'm making a logical decision because I could, actually my team, Donna, my team, I don't even notice, all sit down, start eating at the back. I didn't. I still going around the table, shake hands, and talk to people because I realized that afterwards, it'll be 1 o'clock, 1:30, people will leave. So I don't have time to build a relationship. And it's important, they need to know a little bit where I came from, why I'm giving a talk, what I'll be talking about, so that they can enjoy the presentation itself better, rather than, after lunch, some people come in and talk whatever, and people just fall asleep. So I'm trying to make sure they have good experience, and the way to, it's like we will like someone when we know a little bit about someone. We tend not to like someone that we know nothing about that person. So I'm trying to enhance the experience. So I decided rationally, I'm not going to eat. I'm going to eat afterwards. And I'm going to use the precious little time before you say, okay, we're going to start. And I try to go around the table and talk to people, introduce myself. So that's an example that I'm using my rational thinking, but my emotion, I want to eat. I mean, after all my team members actually said I'll eat, and I'm the boss of my team. I should not be the last person still not eating, right? But that is not important to me. The important to me is why I'm there. I'm there to give a good experience of everybody in that room. And the best way to give a good experience is change myself to recognize it's going to be late. They're going to be there. They've been there since 8 o'clock in the morning. They're not going to stay until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So they need to go home after the talk. So let me build a relationship now, rather than wait after the talk. So that is I did not behave emotionally, habitually. Habitual emotion would be sitting, eat anyway, and don't talk to people before the talk. I change myself by realizing why I'm there. I'm trying to give people the good experience, and I behave something logically by delaying my.
Yeah. Thank you for your answer. I agree with you, and I've been thinking some in the same ways because I'm working on a philosophy of truth based on the Bible and also science, and that sometimes truth is the more important thing, but then sometimes love is the more important thing. It depends on which topic.
Yes.
And also I grew up in America, but I lived in Asia for 25 years. And I went there to teach Bible and English and things like that. But then I also science. But then I actually learned a lot about the Bible from being in Asia. Like easy examples, like I read the Bible and I said, "Why do I take off my shoes? My feet are stinky." But then in Asia, you always do that for respect for the temples and the houses like that. So interesting. But also something interesting is that Americans are a lot more focused. There's an individualistic thinking of just think about making decisions for myself first and that kind of stuff. But sometimes that can cause things like the 2008 crash and the crisis of the economic crashes and things like that. But then the Asia, they're thinking more about the community first, and that's good sometimes. But sometimes you can have like the Great China Wall, but 1 million people died during that construction, so that's a problem. But then the Bible says we need to do both, a balance of both. Where like 1 Thessalonians 5:15 says, always do good to each person, the individuals, and all people, the community. And so it's good to have a balance of both, to have the best decisions like that.
Yes. I think the experience of living in the East, like me, I live there, I live here now. It's very valuable for human beings because we get different culture, and different culture achieve this rational versus irrational balance differently. And in broad stroke, I found East tends to be a little bit more emotional, West a little bit more logical, and Eastern way of doing things a little bit more global overall. And medicine, for example, in Western medicine, we're about fixing a bone fracture. Eastern about build up your body strength and things, preventive medicine. So we need both, and so it's very important to recognize that by only learning from both. It's not about the world should go the Eastern way or the world should be going the Western way. It's about the world should go forward by learning from all different ethnicities and culture. And God wants us, the disciple all nations, Matthew 18, and it's about learning, building relationship, So I'm very passionate about common ground. I have the common ground Bible study, and I really feel God want me to be that connector, try to connect, utilizing my, the experience of born in the East, live in the West, have a profession, both emotional as physician and technical as surgeon. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Donna. And thank you, Dr. Chang, for organizing this. So I will see everybody April 15th in the next, James, James, I'm going to have you say the last thing. Any comment? And you have the last words.
My comment is that I think you should launch a new career. You could be a good talk show host.
Oh, I don't know. I like to think. I like to reason, and I like to interact. So this is I'm enjoying it because I'm improving using these pros, and I hope. People say it's just 77. It's no. I collected 77. That's not the end. It's not about my pros necessarily, right? It's about I'm trying to encourage all of us to collect our own pros. James is a amazing, businessman, now a musician, composer, filmmaker, everything. So, you will have your own pros, but it is the observation of the human life. It's about their thinking through. It's about recognizing our intrinsic irrational tendencies in those areas, and then apply the right remedy to it, which is logical, that we can improve. So, that's our life. At the end of the day, we have, an older person, James, what to show for. We have learned something in life.
I can share something with your experience is that when you say a lot of people they will behave just according to convention,
Right.
And as an artist, a lot of times you have to be unconventional, You have to be creative, When you do creative, you are not doing the normal stuff, You need to get out of the box and think of, logically what it should be, not according to what people usually would do,
You're absolutely right. The artists and logicians are also a balance, right? Artists is a lot more percentage emotional, and the mathematician, a lot more percentage of his or her beings is more logical. And so I think, as I was saying, that it's about that balance, and everybody has to find your own balance, and about different things. You may have different balance, But I find that as a general systematic problem, James, that we tend to be more irrational. So through the Shi Ban Gong Bei talk, I'm trying to make myself encourage everybody to think a little bit more rationally. It doesn't mean we have to be AI, become an AI, right? That's 100% rational, but we need to a little bit more rational. Need a little bit dose of rationality. For example, James, you look at the political fight, you look at the international warfare. Most of these disasters in human society are driven by emotion.
Yes.
If people think it through logically, we're going to have a lot less war. We're going to have a lot less polarization, division politically. So that is why the society is like a balance, right? You need to seesaw, balance it. Right now, tipping too much on the emotional side. So a little bit more on the weight on the rational side is helpful. Because the war, it's all, you think, James, what's the underlying cause of war? It's all one group of people wants to be regarded as better than another group. That's a human basic instinct. Come from old times when there's not enough natural resources, so everybody's fighting for the resources, but we don't have to. There's a way to live together well, don't have to kill others to live.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so that's not rational for sure. Okay, that's irrational. And so, you know, it's like the biggest irrationality upcoming decades, hopefully longer, is the nuclear war. Because in the since 1980s, people realized that in Mexico Peninsula, this is what the Yucatan Peninsula is called, that the meteoroid is what killed the dinosaur 55 million years ago. And that meteoroid, which is about several football in diameter, that result in a global ice age for 200 years or something, kill all the dinosaurs. But my question is, if you blow up all the nuclear warheads, you know, United States has like 5,000, Russia has like 5,500, China has like 800, all the nuclear warheads, it's 10, 100, maybe 1,000 times stronger than that meteoroid hits Mexico 50 million years ago. So it's a assured mutual destruction. So if a human does not make a turn back, realize we're way too emotional, one day, one country will start the nuclear war, the other country will respond, and we'll be gone. And to kill ourselves is not rational, right? It's stupid. But we will kill ourselves. So the world needs a lot more rationality. Cool-headed, just, you know, and we'll need a lot more, as I said, inner looking. Don't keep on looking at others. Hey, you know, James, you're not good. Or Ming, you're this not good. No. The world is a lot more peaceful place if all we look inwardly more. See, what is that I can improve? Rather than what is it somebody else is not doing right. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. I will see everybody April 15th. Thank you, Dr. Chen.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Wang.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Donna.
Uh-huh.